What's up everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm a current student at ATP Flight School. So if you're watching this video, you're probably a current student as well, or you're looking into ATP Flight School. I've decided to come up with my top 5 tips on how to succeed in the program and how to get through it as fast as possible. Because that's probably why you want to go to the school, is to get through quick, and I will teach you how. Alright, now my number 1 tip for everybody is to be prepared for ATP. The best way you can do that is by taking care of your written knowledge exams before you ever even step foot into the ATP building. If you're not sure what a written exam is, I'll explain it to you real quick. If you want to get your private pilot certificate, there's 2 tests that you're going to have to take. You're going to have to take a written knowledge test, which is you sitting at a desk filling out bubbles on a sheet. Once you pass that and you've done all your flight training, you can then go take the second test, which is the practical test. The practical test involves sitting down and doing an interview with a designated pilot examiner, and then you go actually fly the airplane and you demonstrate your capabilities and you receive your certificate. Now you have to do this for your private pilot certificate, instrument rating, commercial certificate, all the way down through your CFI, CFII, and all those things. Now if you're wondering how you can study for these, I have 2 recommendations. For your private pilot certificate, I would recommend using Sporties. You can just look them up online. They also have an app in the App Store, and you can use their course to study for the private pilot written exam, which is also called the PAR or PAR. For your instrument rating and all the other ones you're going to need to take care of, I'd recommend using Shepherd Air. They're a little bit old school. Look them up online. There's a phone number. You're going to call them and they'll give you a code to download their software on your device. They're awesome. You just study with them and you can quickly take care of all those written tests. If you're worried about not understanding the material in the written test super well, that's okay. You don't necessarily have to. The tests are really just more of a formality in aviation, in my opinion. You can just memorize all the questions and memorize all the answers. That's what Shepherd Air helps you do. You go take the test, and then you can actually do the real learning using ground school, YouTube, your instructor, and actually flying the airplane. The written test is just kind of an annoyance. It's something you just need to take care of. And my recommendation is to do it before you ever start. Now, outside of that, my tip is to be prepared for every flight you go on. At ATP, before each lesson, you're going to have read, view, and do's. They'll list things you need to read, things you need to view, and things you need to do before that flight. Now, this definitely helps you get prepared, but on top of doing those, I would recommend watching YouTube videos, reading, doing more than what you're told to do. That way you can be one step ahead of the game, pick up on things a lot faster than you would otherwise. All right, my second tip is to be available. If you really want to get through the program as quick as possible, you need to be available 7 days a week at 4 a.m. or at 8 p.m., ready to go fly whenever. Sometimes you'll have a plane that goes down into maintenance that makes it so you can't fly, but then later that day there's another plane that comes out of maintenance that's not scheduled. Your instructor can book it for you, and then you can go fly. But if you went home and you weren't planning on flying and you tell your instructor no, those things make a big difference, and even just one day can make the program extend a lot longer than you think. And by being available, I don't mean that you have to stay at the training center all the time. Personally, I like to stay home unless I'm needed in the training center, and I do most of my studying here. What that does mean, though, is that you should be available to fly all the time if your goal is really to get through the program as quick as possible. My third tip might be a pretty obvious one, but it's a lot easier to say than do. It's to study, 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 and study more. There's always something more to be learned, especially as a pilot, just in the aviation community in general. Do all those read, view, do's that I was talking about earlier, and then again, go look on YouTube, there's so many different great resources, watch mock check rides. The more you study, the more you're going to understand what you're actually trying to do in the airplane and how the airplane works. And by having a better understanding of that, you're going to be able to better fly the airplane as well. Not only will it help you fly the airplane, but when you go to take your practical exam with an examiner, he's going to sit you down and you'll talk for an hour or 2, and he's going to quiz you on all of your knowledge. So if you're not sharp there, it's going to make him kind of question your abilities in the aircraft. But if you show up to that oral and you're sharp and you know your answers and you're confident, he may even not ask all the questions that he was going to ask because he sees that you're super confident and you know your stuff. And then when it comes to the flight, he's already expecting that you know what you're doing. All right, so as far as how to study, that leads me into my 4th tip, which is to use mnemonics and to use active recall. Those 2 things have helped me learn a lot better than I have in years past. One of the mnemonics, for example, that we use is PAVE, P-A-V-E. By using PAVE, it will help you remember 4 major factors to consider before any flight you take. So P stands for pilot. That as the pilot, are you doing okay? How's your mental health? How's your physical health? Everything like that. So you need to consider all that. A is for the aircraft. Is the aircraft safe? Is it airworthy? Everything like that. V, it actually stands for environment. So how's the weather looking like? How's your pre-flight planning gone? And then the E is actually for external pressures. So do you have any family or friends that are pressuring you to make this flight when maybe you don't feel safe about making this flight? So if you use mnemonics, I have an entire list that I can send you. It's a lot easier to remember all these things. Or for example, there's mnemonics that help you remember all the equipment requirements for daytime VFR flight, or all the equipment that you're going to need if you're going to take a night flight. So using mnemonics can make it really easy to remember all the things that you need to know, because trust me, there's a lot of things and regulations that would be super nice to have on the top of your head. The second way I use active recall is by teaching someone everything I learned. So when I go and I study a topic, I'll either go to another student or my wife, and I'll try to teach them everything I just learned. I don't know if there's a better way to expose the gaps in your knowledge than by teaching someone everything you learned. It's a great way to help you understand what you actually understood and what you actually didn't really understand. And then you can know what you need to go and review again. So teaching people can be a great way to study and teach yourself as well. All right, last but not least is having the right instructor. Now at ATP, this is something that's partially in your control, but having the right instructor can make or break your journey in aviation, honestly, from what I've seen. If you have the right instructor, it will be someone who inspires you, who challenges you, and who supports you. And that really can fuel your journey and motivation at ATP. And if you have someone who's doing the opposite, who makes you feel dumb, who won't schedule you, it can really ruin your time and make your whole taste of aviation completely terrible. The last thing I would say on that too is you've got to do your part. If you're doing your part and you're showing up, studying, and you're coming well prepared, and they're not scheduling you and doing everything they should, definitely go talk to someone about it. Luckily in my case, I've had a phenomenal instructor who's willing to work super hard. And at least at the training center I'm at, for the most part, the instructors have been pretty great. They've all been willing to go fly a lot, and they've all been great instructors. So there you have it. There's my top 5 tips. As with anything, that doesn't guarantee that you're going to get through the program really fast. There's obviously all sorts of things that can go wrong with maintenance, weather, planes, and life events. But I think if you do all 5 things, you're definitely going to have a great chance of getting through the program quickly. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you have any other questions. Let me know in the comments what types of videos you would like me to make, and anything I can do to help you out on your journey at ATP or your journey in aviation in general. Thanks for watching.